Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Nathan Drinkard. I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. As always, it shows up on the Anchor app. That's where it's hosted, but it's also on all the other podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the rest. And if you prefer the video format of the show, we're also up on the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. Uh, you can find us at all those locations. And as always, like, listen, share, subscribe. We'd appreciate it all. What's going on, Drink?
Well, just another day, another dollar. We got a lot of good stuff on the sports front. We also got the state of Texas that said, "Hold up, hold my bill. Let's open this thing up." So, in the spirit of that, let's open this thing up and let's talk some sports, baby. Let's roll, baby.
Yes, open it all up. In episode 35, the Celtics win again. Lloyd Pierce gets fired, and we react to the Arizona Cardinals. They had a big signing. They signed J.J. Watt recently. But we begin with the Phoenix Suns defeating the Los Angeles Lakers 114-104 at the Staples Center last night. The win moves Phoenix into second place in the West, just barely in front of the Lakers and Clippers, and they're 3.5 games back at the first place Jazz. Balanced scoring effort for the Suns. 5 players scored at least 15 points, and they overcame an ejection of leading scorer Devin Booker. He got tossed in the third quarter after picking up 2 techs. The Lakers were not so balanced as LeBron James led the way with 38, but outside of Dennis Schroeder and Talen Horton-Tucker, there were very few offensive bright spots for the Lakers, who were without the services of Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, and Kyle Kuzma. Drink, the Suns are 15-3 since an 8-8 start. How serious are you taking them at this stage of the season?
Hey man, listen, you got to put a little respect on that name. Why? This is a Western Conference team. This is not an Eastern Conference team. This is not a team that's barely 500 and they in the playoff race. No, this is a team like you said that's second in the West and just beat the defending champs. Now, if we use the microcosm of this, last night doesn't exactly bode well to the whole let's take them serious thing. You had the Lakers missing AD. You had the Lakers missing Gasol and Kyle Kuzma. So it's something to be said that they was missing three rotational guys. Those wasn't three guys that wasn't never going to see the floor. Those three guys that was going to be on the floor regardless. So it's something to be said about that. As you said in the lead-in, hey, in that third quarter, we seen Devin Booker also get an early exit away from the game. So it wasn't like the Suns was full strength throughout the whole game as well. So back to the question, yeah, I feel like I got to take them serious. I feel like, listen, these moves that the Suns have made as of late, you tell me which one hasn't worked yet. I mean, you hired James Jones a couple of years ago to be your GM. He's up there. You hired Monty Williams to be the head coach to coach these young guys. He seemed to be getting a lot out the players. And then you brought in Chris Paul. And listen, for those the watchers, the listeners that remember back weeks ago when we was talking about the NBA before it got started, I said I thought the Suns would finish as a top four seed. And why? Because the acquisition of Chris Paul. Listen, I don't know what Chris Paul tell these guys in the locker room or what he do behind the scenes, but hey, for whatever you want to say about him, he got to be a hell of a leader. Because everywhere he went outside of Houston, he done made some things happen. And I think he could have made something happen in Houston if that team wasn't, beholden to James Harden. But with all that said, this guy's a game changer. And as you can see, look at this team, man. Like I believe in the Suns. Long story short, I believe in the Suns. Why? I believe the Suns have a good mixture of everything you need. They have a prolific scorer, Devin Booker. Devin Booker, I'm sorry. They got a tough guy, Jay Crowder. They got a leader, Chris Paul. They got a younger, coach, Monty Williams. It's like if you broke down the attributes of what you would need to be a contender, right now the Suns can check off most of those boxes. The only thing they might be missing is experience outside of Chris Paul. So you take Chris Paul out, you don't have much championship experience, you don't have much playoff experience, which is cool. Boom, you got to get there to get the experience. I do think they got a chance to get there. Now let me flip it a little bit to the other team that is playing the Lakers. You know what it is. I got it on. Um, the Lakers right now, I don't think anybody is saying they're dead or in a hole or they're fraudulent or they're not contenders. But one thing you would have to say at this point is the days of LeBron James being able to take me, you, and two other guys and get on the court and we off to the NBA championship. I think that LeBron James is gone. He relies on the referees too much. His athleticism is starting to dwindle. If you think I'm lying, just go look at some of the layup attempts he tried. I mean, he's out here getting blocked by Muzzy Bowles or the equivalent of like, what is his name, Cam Artist Payne out here like block. Listen, there ain't no way the Miami Heat LeBron James or the first stop Cleveland Cavalier LeBron James is getting stopped by some little dude like that. Like, let's be real. Um, but you know he's getting older. The game, Father Time is catching up with him. He's still one of the best players in the league. Let's make no mistake. That's my guy. I love LeBron James, but for you to put guys on his back and say, "Hey, LeBron, take us to the promised land," those days might be over. But last night he had a spectacular game. But then when you see he dropped 38 points, you like, oh, the Lakers won. That's what. If I went to you right now and said, "Hey, LeBron James dropped 38 points on the Phoenix Suns," you thought they win or lose? Most likely you'll say, I think they win because LeBron usually don't need a lot of help to win a game, especially a regular season game. And this is the Phoenix Suns. We still, people still got their reservations about the team, right? So you hear that and you're like, okay, cool. But then I wake up, boom, they lost by 10. Why? Because they don't have enough. And we was talking about this before the show. Here's what needs to happen. The biggest difference between this team and last year, one, Anthony Davis is a lot more injured this year, I think, than he was last year. He fought through it a lot last year. This year, maybe not so much. That 71 days off probably didn't help him out either. That rim protection ordeal is really hurting them. Like, I know a lot of analysts say, hey, losing JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, they'll be fine. They'll be fine because they're getting better on the perimeter, which they are really good defensively on the perimeter. They are. I like what Schroeder do. I like when Caruso coming out. KCP can apply pressure. Even Kuzma playing some good perimeter defense, believe it or not. And it even makes LeBron play better defense. It's in spurts, but he plays better defense. But at the end of the day, you still don't have anybody at the rim. And the problem is now teams are like, oh, they don't have rim protection. So when you get them to scrambling, the first thing they do is they run to the rim. And they usually leave a three-point shooter open because they know they don't have rim protection. And they try to run and protect the rim. And you get a foul or you get a wide open three, et cetera, et cetera. So like we was talking about before the game, just to throw that out there, I know the Lakers has been associated with three big men as of before the show, what I read. Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, or JaVale McGee, however they get one. But they need one of those guys. They need some type of rim protection that takes the pressure off AD, that takes the pressure off LeBron, and it allows the perimeter defense to do what they do. Because remember, this was the downfall of the Clippers last year. If you remember, everybody said the Lakers can protect the rim, the Clippers can protect the perimeter. That was their big go-to for both teams on the defense side of the ball. Now, I'm not going to say the roles reversed, but I don't hear people saying that as much about the Clippers as they're saying it about the Lakers this year. So the Lakers should definitely be in the market for a big man. But with all that said, the Lakers took the L last night, rightfully so. You're missing three key pieces, but I do think the Lakers played very competitive, even though they lost. That guy they got, Daniel Jones, I think his name is. That guy can be something. He can be something. He's gonna have to play more, hit the gym, get his footing as a five in today's NBA. But he could be something. I wasn't terribly mad with what he was doing last night. He came in the game, instant defense, instant rebounding, and instant scoring. He came in, he was doing some things. So maybe if you can get, let's say, Andre Drummond, and then let Jones get in there, I think you got enough rim protection. And you still got Montrezl Harrell that's going to give you the energy. So I did like what I saw out the Lakers. What's his name? Horton Tucker. He came in, he made some plays. So this team got depth. And I know that was one thing that a lot of people point. They got depth. The problem is they need consistency. They need, like, when Schroeder is out there running the offense, he got to run the offense. He can't be out here pit-patting around, trying to give a Marcus Morris an open three. Nah, man, you need to run the offense. Run it like this your team. That's what they need. They need somebody when LeBron is off the court to run it like it's their team. Not sitting here second guessing. Caruso can't run it. I'm sorry. I like Caruso. Man, my guy. Play defense, headband and all. Got it. Caruso can't run the offense. I'm sorry. He's just, I don't know, he can't do it. Like, it to me, it's like Schroeder or bust at this point. That's just how I look at it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's how I look at it. So to wrap it up, man, you gotta take them serious. I think the Suns will end up being a top 4 team because one of those 3 teams, whether it be the Jazz, the Clippers, or the Lakers, one of those 3 teams, I think, going to end up finishing outside of the top 4. I don't know which one, and that would let the Suns slide in, and probably another team. Somebody's going to end up out of the top 4 of those 3. Maybe not Utah, because Utah playing at a level where they can afford to lose some games, probably after the All-Star break. But the Clippers and the Lakers, we don't know how long Anthony Davis is going to be out. Kawhi Leonard gets, you know what, we'll say that for the next 7. But, you know, you just, we don't know. So yeah, I take the Suns as a serious contender. I think they'll finish in the top 4, and they might hang around and be making some noise in the Western Conference, you know, second round or whatnot.
I have to I have to start off with I got a paging Frank Vogel right now. You know how you're in trouble when Jared Dudley plays 11 minutes. I can't deal with it. Jared Dudley with 11 points, no 11 minutes, no points, 2 shot attempts, 2 rebounds, and 3 fouls. And somehow he had the best plus minus in the whole game for the Lakers. He was
Right.
+9. I don't know how that happened. And the only thing he did that looked, it was just one of them old veteran moves. He pulled a chair out on some dude and forced to travel.
I think that was Darko Saric, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was Saric.
Yeah. But to that point on Jared Dudley, also Frank, this Damian Jones fella, he can stand to use a few more minutes. Jared Dudley need to get the suit and tie out of there. He can be an assistant coach to the assistant coach or whatever he wants to do. That's the playing days. I'm sorry, Jared Dudley. It's about time to hang it up. But that was just, it was just a case for the Lakers last night. They just didn't have enough firepower. And when you're playing a team that's just blistering hot from 3, I mean, they never stopped. They opened the game with back-to-back threes, and it just never slowed down. You go 16 for 29, 55% from behind the arc. That's tough to beat for anybody. And I think your point on, I'm gonna disagree just slightly. I still think LeBron can carry a team to a certain extent, but guys that play the game with him, even though it brings back memories of the Mo Williams and Zydrunas Ilgauskas, those were the second in command guys. And you go back to his last year in Cleveland where you had the George Hills and Larry Nance's and Jordan Clarkson's came in and they came up smaller than anybody that is shorter than me. And it just that's what it felt like last night. I mean, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Wesley Matthews, even Montrezl Harrell. I mean, these guys just weren't very good last night. And Schroeder was okay, but I mean 6 for 17, so he wasn't that great. Really, the only guy who you look out there and say, "Oh man, this guy he really, jumped out on the film," is Horton Tucker. 6 of 9, 16 points, very active. He kept him afloat early on in the game. I think he had 12 of his 16 in the first half. But just too many guys asked to step up in the absence of Anthony Davis. I'm less concerned about Marc Gasol, Kyle Kuzma. They have some level of importance. But I think for the Lakers, they're still in a good position. It's all going to come down to when Anthony Davis returns and can he be healthy and battle through the the nicks and pains and all these different things that he typically goes through in a season, like he was able to do last
Right.
year. And if he can
Right.
do that, the Lakers will be just fine. They'll be in great shape because this team does have more quality depth than they had last year. That's what happens when you get a Montrezl Harrell, when you get a Dennis Schroeder, and just your role player pieces. I think KCP's he's very important to this team, and he has to be
Right.
better than he was last night. 1 for 7, 1 for 7, just simply won't do it. For Phoenix, they appear legitimate. I think the biggest thing that I could say to them, and I would go back to an individual, and I would go to Chris Paul. I think it's the leadership piece is absolutely. I think it's absolutely on the mark. I would I would be surprised if someone could show us uh, another player who has done seemingly the impossible with two consecutive teams with doing
Right.
because last year we didn't expect anything from Oklahoma City, and they turned out to be 4 or 5, the fourth or fifth seed in the West, and they push. I think they
Right.
pushed Houston to a 7-game series. Nobody saw that coming. Of course, Phoenix had the hot undefeated bubble thing that they did last season, but I was still pretty unsure of them. I didn't see much of it. But Chris Paul's came in. He's had the exact same effect. He's taken guys who, unproven for the most part. There's a lot of youth on that team, and just his leadership and his ability to run a team has taken him to new heights. I do agree, though. Monty Williams, he can flat out coach. It's good to see him in the head coaching ranks. Give some credit to James Jones for forming this, for putting it all together. But the young guys, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, he was pretty eye opening for me last night. Dario Saric is a really nice piece off the bench that led the team in scoring last night. Just at face value, if you said LeBron gets 38 and leads the Lakers in scoring, and Saric gets 21 and leads the Suns in scoring, yes, absolutely every
The
day in the
Lakers
week.
won.
I don't need nothing. Yeah, I don't need nothing else about it. Lakers win, and then on top of it all, Devin Booker gets thrown out in the third quarter. I'd be interested to know what that was all about. But
Right.
yeah, it really didn't have much effect on the game. Like the Suns didn't slow down; they just kept running their offense. There was a stat that came up on the broadcast last night. They're 29th in pace of play, so they don't get up and down a particularly whole lot. I think maybe that has something to do with Chris Paul at his age. He probably don't want to run up and down the court the whole time, but they don't need to. They're very efficient in what they do. If you're that's
In the
one thing
half
about
court.
it. If you're not getting up and down in transition, which the Lakers like to do, they like to get up and down. But if you don't do that, then you have to be very solid in the execution of what you're doing, and they are to a tune of 49% overall and 55% from deep. It was a surgical performance. You know, Jay Crowder, you mentioned him. He's just a guy who seems like wherever Jay Crowder goes, that team's going to be pretty good. He fits in
Mm-hmm.
nicely. He can defend multiple positions. He's a guy who you look at. If you pulled out, give me 5 guys who you'd want to have a shot at guarding LeBron. Jay Crowder is probably in that list. So there's a lot to like about this team. I'm skeptical. I don't know if they're this good. They're probably somewhere in between the 8-8 start and now the 15-3 burst. But there are, when you look at it, there's some good wins. There's some good wins that they have in this stretch. You've got, I think they beat Dallas 3 times. They got a win against. They had back-to-back wins against the Bucks and Sixers. They just beat
Knicks and the
they beat it.
Lakers. Oh, with the Jazz and the Lakers, I think.
Yeah, they
Or
they
was
beat
it the
the. I
Knicks
think
and
they
the
beat
Lakers?
they beat the Jazz early on. Yeah, so there's some quality wins. There's quite a few not so good teams, but that's with any team. You can nitpick the schedule all you want,
Right.
but I think at this point you gotta at least say that they're a playoff team. I think there's no question about that. Are they the fourth best team or the second best team? I don't think they're top four. I think there's some teams that have underachieved early on that will pick things up. I'm thinking of teams like Denver. I'm thinking of teams like Dallas. I think those teams, both of them. I think Dallas has been picking it up recently. I think they're both capable of catching up. But Phoenix, at minimum, they look like a 6, 7 seed right now, but they're playing tremendous right now, and they look every bit as legitimate as their record.